Welcome, everybody, to the Pickleball podcast / Clubhouse, where we're kind of a big deal here. Today, we're going to be talking about ourselves and how we got into pickleball, which is why we have the topic, please allow myself to introduce myself. So, Vinny is going to start off here talking about why we're in this game, as he introduced me to the game and how he got introduced, and then we'll talk about our passions for that.
Yeah. Thanks, David. I'm happy to talk about myself anytime and all the time. And anytime I can talk about myself and pickleball, it's a good afternoon or evening. So we got started in pickleball on a cold spring afternoon, taking a walk around our neighborhood, and we saw these tiny little tennis courts. And we were like, what are those? What game is this? And we did a little research and bought a cheap set of wooden paddles for $4 on Amazon and went over and played like ping pong and started getting into it. We enjoyed it. We had some fun, did a little research, figured out what it was called, and then we should invite our friends into this crazy little game that we could play right in our neighborhood. And so we got into it probably 6-7 months ago and have just developed a passion for it, where through the summer we were playing once or twice a week for hours and hours, and in the wintertime finding every excuse we could find to get out onto the courts outside.
That is exactly right. And during that time, I was introduced by Vinny. He's like, dude, you should play pickleball. And I'm like, what is this nonsense? That's pretending to be tennis. And so we hopped out. We played a little bit. And I'm like, dude, this is great. It's like all the fun of tennis and none of the actual like exercise of it. So I was like, sign me up. So I went out and I found some pickleballs, paddles and whatnot on Amazon. Some of those cheap JP Win Look or whatever they're called. That's kind of what my wife still plays with. And from there, it just kind of took off. We've kind of started our own little pickleball club for church and been able to gain a little bit of a following. I think we're up to probably 12 or 18 people so far. So it's been super fun to get out there and see everybody playing from time to time. When it's warmer weather, we have some people who are not diehards, a little bit of a warm weather kind of people. But Vinny and I and a couple others are hardcore pickleballers. If it's not snowing or if it's not too windy or raining, we're out playing.
That's absolutely true. We're like the Postal Service that way. We'll play through light rain, sleet, snow. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, as long as
we're just going to get on the court.
Yeah, as long as we don't feel like we're going to injure ourselves, because let's face it, I'm a little old for this stuff. Speaking of old, I went to the doctor's today.
Yeah, when you get a mortgage, you start having kids. Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I totally, yeah. When you start thinking, I have to think about those types of things, right? Went to the doctor today, I'm like, man, I am old. I'm like, good gracious. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. And then I found out that I'm overweight. Well, I didn't find that out at the doctor's office. I just had to look in the mirror to figure that one out. But apparently my blood pressure is slightly high, too. And I'm like, oh, man, I need to play more pickleball, right? Reason to play more pickleball.
Right, that's right.
Is what I'm trying to convince my wife of.
True. That's right. Well, I think, speaking of old, like I think that's one of the draws for pickleball for me was watching people who 10, 15, 20 years older than I am, just dominate the game and have fun and enjoy it. And it's a game you can play, you can pick up in your 20s and play into your 70s. Yep. I remember when Becky's, your wife's parents, came to visit in the summer. And how old is her dad?
Oh, probably maybe early 60s. I think 62.
Okay, early 60s. I'm 38, and he wiped the floor with me on the pickleball court. And that was just a light bulb moment. Like, oh, I can keep playing this game for the next 30 years.
Yep.
This is awesome.
Yep.
That was another one of my introductions to the game within the game.
Absolutely. Hey, and tell me the little story about when you went down to Palm Springs and played with the little ladies.
Oh, I hate that story, but I will tell it. So this is I was still playing my wooden paddle. So this has got to be maybe 6 or 7 weeks into playing pickleball, and I thought, all right, I'm going to go down. I was visiting my mom, and she's got some friends who play regularly, and I said, well, I'm going to bring my paddle with me if you guys don't mind me hopping in. So I went out and I played with singles with one of the ladies, and we had a good time, and we're old friends. She's known me forever. And then her gang showed up. These three little ladies, and they were rolling in hardcore. Like I'm pretty sure it wasn't slow motion and there wasn't deep hip hop bass playing, but as I recall it, that's what it felt like as they walked onto the court, sizing me up, and they just began to wipe the floor with me, man. All three ladies over 60, and I'm huffing and puffing, and they're running me ragged. They're hitting lobs and side spinners and cut shots, and calling me on all my line fouls all over the place because I was still a new player. And I got schooled by some little old ladies that, in the wintertime have an Afghan on their knees and an electric fireplace in Palm Springs. I got worked.
I'm just envisioning that with the electric fireplace. That's awesome.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's hilarious. So what did you find as you started playing to be the most difficult thing to catch on to?
Oh, I think the touch of the game. I think just lowering my level of aggressiveness, and it's still a thing I think I'm still learning, is I don't have to smash the ball every time. And, being ferocious and fierce has its place within the game, but man, really getting to the net, playing that touch game and being controlled, I think is the thing I'm most excited about this summer, focusing on being able to play more and for longer periods of time. But yeah, I'd say that's the thing that I'm still working on.
Yeah, I definitely would concur with that, especially coming from a tennis background. It's one of those that I expect the ball to do when I take my swing, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's usually harder, right? That's the problem, is when I try to hit a specific shot at not even necessarily deep or anything, it just goes further. Or if I try to play a really finesse shot and it just dies off the paddle, and you're like, urgh. I think that's the biggest struggle that I've had, the biggest learning curve. And I'm sure I've watched a couple of other YouTubers who have made the switch from tennis to pickleball, and that's would have been a common occurrence or experience, is just learning the touch of the game.
Yeah, even the tennis players we've invited, right? That first day, you watch all the tennis swings and styles, and then the shock on their faces when the pickleball does not do what the tennis ball does.
Yep.
That's been particularly fun to watch. For me, I never played tennis, never pick up a racket. So all my background is in ping pong. So things like the spin and kind of the lifting up of the ball, those all come pretty natural. But I think that slam mentality, right? Like, I'm just going to hit this as hard and as fast and as sharp as I can.
Yep.
That breaking out of that has been a curve because of the table tennis background.
Absolutely, it's definitely been a challenge.
Yeah.
What do you find for your opponent? What do you hate most that your opponents do when you're playing pickleball?
Oh man, so I've got this one guy I play with, and he's pretty good. He's better than I am. I hate it when he lays off the gas pedal. So he will smoke some of the serves, and I might return, one of them, maybe every other one. And then he'll build a lead, and then he lays off and gives me a lob serve, and that just drives me bonkers. Like, if you're Michael Jordan, please don't take it easy on me. Help me raise my game by understanding the level of competition that I'm playing against. So that's one of the things that drives me nuts in terms of style of play. But I think, and then just practically whenever I play anyone and they're able to play the mental game, and I haven't picked up on it yet within the game. So if they've set me up, long serve, and then I fall into the trap of anticipating long serve, and then they hit, just a short corner pocket right outside the kitchen. That's not, that's a thing that I fall victim to a lot and frustrates me.
Absolutely. I haven't been able to relate too much to that yet, but
The humility on this guy. But yeah, what's something
uh,
that when your opponents are working their game against you? What's something that might frustrate you?
it's definitely obviously because you can't really see me on Clubhouse or on a podcast, but
Right.
if you saw me, yeah, you go check out our YouTube channel. You'll see the bigger guy running around. That's my nemesis. My downfall is when these guys are hitting shots, and I'm like, oh, time to make David move, and then of course I got like
Yeah.
one way directional move, and then that's it, right? So if you make me move one way, I probably
Yeah.
will get to that
Yep.
shot, but then you make me like go
Yeah.
backwards or side, toast. It's like, all right, good shot, good
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. It's the one athletic move, but not fast enough to recover
That's
from
right.
that athletic
That's
move
right.
to get the return.
That's right.
Totally.
Uh,
I understand.
it reminds me. There's a video. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to post it on our channel, the Dill Pickleball channel, but we were playing inside indoors, and these guys hit this shot. I think it even hit the net, and so I'm like, I make my one move, athletic move, and I dive and I fall on the floor, and like literally, I wanted to get up, and my brain told my body to like, all right, let's stand back up, let's get back in the point, and I got kind of on my knees ish type thing, and I was like, nope,
Yeah.
that's all I got. I'm like, ugh. Oh, to be young and spry again. Nemesis.
Right. Yeah. Be able to. Heck yeah.
Pop up. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
What advantage, as we talk about this passion of the game, what advantage do you think you bring to the court over other players?
Unorthodoxy. So I I hit the ball from a lot of weird angles and weird places. And it's kind of like whenever you play a card game or a new sport with somebody who doesn't really know the game and doesn't really know, oh well, this is how you do that or this is the technique, but they figured out a way that works for them. I think that's a strength that I bring. Is I'm going to hit a few shots that they're going to sail and they're going to go too far, but I'm also going to catch a few shots that are going to surprise you, that are unorthodox, that will score me a point or two. And then the thing I'm working on growing is I've decided not to be afraid of the pickleball anymore. So I will stand at the net and take it. And so I'm going to try to develop that as well further. As I'm just, you could put it in my lunchbox. I don't care. I'm just going to take it.
Whether it's the right strategy or not. That's funny.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So there we go. Unorthodoxy and stubbornness. You've identified it. That's what I bring.
And I will say, like, having played against you and observed the unorthodoxy, your little behind the back paddle flip thing that you're like, oh, where'd that come from? Like that's insane. I mean, I know you have that in your repertoire now, but it's pretty clever.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things where obviously I was out of position for the shot or didn't react fast enough. So, but here's an unorthodox way to recover where somebody else might lose the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'd say,
so how about you? You've got a pretty strong sense of skills, but what do you say is your ace in the hole?
Yeah, I'd say probably shot planning, starting with what kind of serve do I want and where that would put you, and kind of anticipating almost what they would do, what the opponents would do, so that I can move them around and basically get them into a spot where I can hit a winner. Many times have I heard, the guy's not even moving and I'm running around the entire court. So it's just being prepared for getting them out of position so that you can take advantage of that. I would say is probably the biggest thing I have over everybody I play with right now. But again, it's
Do you think that's a tennis background thing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I totally think so. Yep.
Yeah.
Having played all, from the time I was in second grade all the way up to a year in college, it's definitely been ingrained in there.
Yeah, I could totally see that as a strength, and watched you do it. It's like the chess. Was that chess show on Netflix? The Queen's Gambit,
Yep.
where you're a few moves ahead on the pickleball court. David's Gambit is
And that's
got a
the
couple
thing.
moves.
But I totally know that I'm pretty decent, but like I am not. I would get my clock cleaned by, you know, I would say of a 1 to 5. Looking at skill level,
Yeah.
and pros are 5, 5.5, sixes. I'd probably say I'd fall maybe 4, 4.5. I think that there are some
Hmm.
super stellar people in terms of being able to not only plan and anticipate, but also execute. And I think that's probably the
Yeah.
thing that I struggle with most is execution of what I want to do.
Yep. Yeah. I would say uh, I think that's the hard part for all pickleball players. It comes down to, or what separates that degree of improvement is level and ability to execute the plan and the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I think for my learning curve, it was learning the game, learning how to hit the ball, learning the strategy pieces of the game, and then being able to implement those is the
Mm-hmm.
next step
Mm-hmm.
for my own growth.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. What do you find you where do you find that you can help people who are at your level or below your level in terms of improving?
Yeah, I think explaining the game in understandable terms. So, just from a novice's level, here's the game, here's the rules, and then helping people find the basic movements of the paddle from serving to returning.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a place where I can go well. And I don't, particularly with new people, I don't have a real passion or desire to win. I'd rather see new people enjoy the game and find some success. So I also feel like if I can give up a point or two or allow them to, go fault on a serve a few times to get it, I think so patience and communication, I think, are a couple skills I can help new players with
Mm-hmm.
in terms of making them feel comfortable and explaining and getting them at least a base. Here's how to serve. Here's a lob serve that you can just get in play as we start.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Awesome. I would say for me,
Yeah.
it probably I don't want to come across as overbearing to people, so I try not to coach too much. But I'd say probably taking advantage and kind of helping people see now that you got basic shots, now that you got a backhand and a forehand, and understand the rules, kind of like what you were just talking about. Kind of taking that game to the next level of when you
Yeah.
hit this shot, what is that person
Mm.
going to do? And then
Yeah.
how are you going to put yourself in a position to be able to execute on that? Again, it's just
Yep.
that mental side, the higher level thinking, and that's something that
Yep.
I haven't been able to do that, and I don't know people want me to do that. It's one of those that I want
Yeah.
people to have fun. I want people to enjoy the game, and having some guy tell you how to play all the time, it's not necessarily
Yeah.
always super fun. So I try to
Yeah.
balance that on the conservative side, but I think that's something that I can
Yeah.
definitely bring and help people elevate their
Absolutely.
games.
Yeah. I would say I've seen that in my own son's play. He's 14 and doesn't want to hear his dad tell him anything. But when he's had the opportunity to play on your team, you've helped raise his game and raise his level of court awareness
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about positioning a ton. And so
Mm-hmm.
now when he and I play together now, I can see your game in him.
Hmm.
And at least in terms of he's now recognizing and choosing where to be on the court with purpose
Hmm.
rather than being caught out of position.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's been cool.
Well, perfect. Do you have any other things you'd
Yeah.
like to throw out there about your game, the how you got into it, the passions that you've enjoyed?
Yeah, I think just the community element of it. There is a
Yep.
pickleball is conducive to community, and there, unlike maybe other sports, I don't think there's a lot of pretentiousness around pickleball. At least in my experience here in our community,
Hmm.
where it doesn't matter what level you're at, you can show up, you stick your racket in the fence, and and everybody will play with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an openness to learning and acceptance to whatever level you are. And so I think that's been a particularly fun thing about pickleball. So if you're new to it or you're hearing about it for the first time, you don't have to be scared. You don't have to be afraid that you're going to step on the court and somebody's going to clean your clock. Most folks want you to have a good time and have a good experience so that you'll come back and play.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. Like I know we played out in some of the parks nearby in our community, and people just randomly show up and start playing. Right? Hey, I see you guys only playing 3 players. Can I hop in? That's unusual in today's world of what it's kind of isolation, and everybody kind of keeps themselves. But I even look at the grocery stores, right, where you see people kind of just head down in the phone, looking at whatever and not reading too much. But out at the pickleball court, it's completely different. It's a completely different world of people want to participate. We had one gal come out a bunch of times during the summertime and like, hey, we have 4, 5, 6, 7 people there, and she hops in and plays with all of us. And so she basically essentially joined our little group without even knowing it.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a fun element to the game I didn't expect, but have very much enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. So final thing, and we're actually going to talk about this on another podcast / clubhouse event. Why did you choose the paddle and pickleballs that you're currently playing with?
Yeah, so I chose the paddle I'm playing with. I play with a Monarch Series 3 black and white paddle. And this is going to sound silly, but for 2 reasons. One, it looks like the Mandalorian helmet. That was the first reason. And the second reason is I liked the girth that it had compared to the other super light models. So again, I'm a big, strong guy, and I wanted to be able to, and I tend to play with more ferocity than I need to, but I wanted the girth of the paddle to help remind me to slow down. But also if I was able to, slam a ball or strike a ball, I wanted to have the girth to be able to do that. So that's why those are my 2 reasons.
And I know you like the,
how about you?
Yeah, I know you like the wooden paddle, the weight of it, the heaviness of it. So
I did for a long time. It took me a long time to give that paddle up. It wasn't until I think you got a new style and just cleaned it. Like I watched what it could do on the court. Yep. And I was like, all right, it's time.
It's time to level up there.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, I Amazoned a bunch. I was able to find some sweet deals on Amazon to be able to try a bunch of paddles for next to nothing in terms of costs. So it kind of gave me an idea of shape, idea of weight, idea of handle size, grip. From there, I decided to splurge for my Christmas gift and went with a Ben Johns Franklin pickleball paddle, 13 millimeters. And the reason why I chose it is I heard good stuff, obviously. When the number 1 player is using that paddle, then that's a pretty good indication that it's pretty steady. I also wanted to see what it was like to have a quote-unquote gritty face on a paddle, even though there are limits to how sandpaperish a paddle face can be. The downside of that I didn't forecast or foresee too much is that would wear off eventually. Like it's not... something I thought about. I'm like, oh, this must last for a long time, but apparently it doesn't, from what I've read in reviews and seen in reviews. So we'll see how long it lasts and what kind of things like that. But that's the reason why I went with that. In terms of pickleballs, I am a fan of the Franklin X40s. Thanks to you. Thanks to you for getting me interested in that. I know we've played with some Durafast 40s. I feel like the Franklin 40s last a bit longer. And again, that's just experience. I know we started with the old whatever came in the bag of the pickleball set that we bought on Amazon, but you can definitely tell the difference between the Franklin and the difference between what we were playing with before. So it's definitely been an improvement in our game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think just the speed, the touch, and the reaction that those Franklins have is level required us to play better.
Yep.
Or we were chasing balls all over the court. I think it'll be interesting too, because we made the change kind of toward the change in weather too, where we got to be cooler and colder. So I'm really interested to see those balls react to the court in the summer when the weather's warm and the ball's just going to tend to fly, I think. So I'm looking forward to a summer of Franklin X4 to see what if we need to have a summer and a winter ball compared to like an indoor outdoor ball.
Absolutely, yeah. I would definitely be curious for that as well. All right, final thing. As we approach 25 minutes already. It's been 25 minutes we've been chatting about pickleball. That's pretty crazy.
Man, and it feels like nothing. It feels like 2.5 minutes.
It does. It does. What is one thing you hope as spring and summer come into view that you want to see in both in your game, but also in the community that we talked about? Like, what are some things you want to see as we enter into this new season of pickleball?
Yeah, I think for myself, I want to play with focus and intentionality throughout the whole game. So I want to be able to not take points off or not give up points by silly mistakes. I want to be able to stay focused and say, okay, I lost that point, but that's because my opponent made a better shot or a better strategic move than me. It's not because I sailed the ball out of bounds or because I wasn't focused and paying attention to court positioning. So that's in my personal game. And then I think in our community, I'd like us to be intentional about getting out into the greater pickleball community. I think whether that is, we dominate Rita Husky Park here locally and we just say that's our place and we start making it public that that's where we're going to be and we invite others to come and see, or we go invade the other pickleball complexes here locally as an army, and just say, hey, this is who we are and this is what we're about. And we want to build a community and welcome others in. I think those are a couple of things I'd like to see us grow into and pickleball with purpose, not just pleasure, but purpose.
Sure. I like that. And
how about for you?
Yeah, pretty much similar things. I'd like to be able to raise my game. I watch some pickleball on YouTube, watch the pros. I'd like to be able to move into that kind of next level of my game. I kind of have the ideas of what I want to do, but I still make silly mistakes, just like what you were talking about. And I also want to kind of get into more of the execution of a third shot drop, execution of dink shots, and kind of get into what I see the pros kind of doing and executing on, specifically in doubles, because we play a lot of that with our group. So kind of building that game and trying to help others again move to that next level, I think would be really great. In terms of community, I agree. I'd like to really try and ramp up more public broadcasts of here's what we're doing, here's kind of the game plan. And obviously, when we have everybody in our little group, Rita Husky, which is the place where we play, is straight up full. We only have 3 courts there, and that's pretty much toast. So I know another place they use tennis courts and whatnot, and they have 3 pickleball courts, and there's another kind of group that goes there and starts playing there. Really, the only big place we have is a 14-court pickleball plex, which I'm imagining that's eventually we're going to have to migrate to as we get a little bigger. But I would like to see that as a community, but also more family things. I'd like to see, not just a group, but incorporating my wife, incorporating my kids who are getting to be more excited about the game. And I mean, that's something that I'd like to see, and having her friends also play with her, because I know they feel bad when they're playing with people who they know are much better than them. They feel like, this is very boring. Oh, they're very conscious about that kind of stuff. And that's I'm fine playing with people who aren't as skilled as I am, and even if they're basic beginners. But I also want them to feel comfortable playing with people who they are comfortable playing with. So, just inviting enough and getting enough people to have maybe skill level groups and skill level sections where they can feel like they can play with them, or if they want to try and play with somebody else, they can play with better people, or vice versa. So That's kind
No,
of where
that's
I
great.
would like to see for this year, and looking at growing the community. Knowing that
Yep.
it's okay to be not as good as someone, and no one's going to judge whether or not
Right.
you're a bad pickleball player. I don't want to play with you, but
Right. Yeah, I think those are some good goals. Even if we fit our two together, one is growing the group wider out into the community, but the goal, what I'm hearing you say, is growing the group deeper. Really examining, okay, what level pickleball player am I, and being comfortable with that, and even as a group saying, we have all of these levels, and all are acceptable within the group.
Yep.
And we're going to mix and match and play with who we're comfortable with, and also, if you want to improve and have a higher level skill game, we can do that. And if we want to have a lower level skill growing game, I think that's great.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I agree. So, as we wrap up here, the first ever Dill Pickleball Topic Clubhouse podcast. Any parting words about the game or anything you want to say?
Be courageous, be ferocious, and stand on that kitchen line.
Take it like a man.
Just take it like a man. Take it.
That reminds
just
me.
a whippleball.
Yeah, it reminds me of Adam Sandler when he's Happy Gilmore. He just stands there and 364 more days until hockey tryouts.
That's right. That's yep.
I love it.
Just take it.
Awesome. All right, guys. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate everybody participating here and liking and doing whatever. We hope to see you out there on the pickleball courts, guys. We'll chat later.
That's right. Yep. Thanks, David.
Yep.